Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Irish Guys podcast. How we doing? Back in by myself tonight again. The boys were here last night, recording a little podcast. It was good to have them back. Missed the crack. We came in. Crack was good from before we even started recording, so it was good to have them back. As I said a couple of times now. Hopefully everything's back to normal. That's the boys back now. We were recording last night. We're recording tomorrow night, and most of our regular stuff will be back out from the start of next week again. Today's Wednesday. There will be a football podcast. It's the one we recorded last night. It'll be out tomorrow. The full three of us, so that'll be good. Pretty much from tomorrow on, it's back to our regular schedule of stuff. The boys are back, and it's good to have them back and all the rest. So I said I would just do another little video or whatever this week. I might even do another one, just to tide us over till we get back to the regular stuff. It's good to have them back. So next week everything's back to normal. Nerd topics on a Monday, international sports on a Tuesday, and then football on a Thursday. So our football podcast will be out tomorrow night. It's a wee sort of outside the box one. It's the one we leave open at the start of the month for just doing whatever we feel like, and it'll be out tomorrow. So tune in, check it out, and there'll be a wee clip up on YouTube, maybe a little clip up on Instagram as well, and then hopefully the full video of the podcast will be coming soon enough as well too. And we'll get that up and going. With these wee ones by myself, because they're a wee bit shorter, I can get them uploaded to YouTube pretty handy. But new laptop and all's in now, so it'll be pretty good. We'll have the entire podcast up on YouTube pretty soon, within the next couple of weeks, with better sound quality. I just have to get the Adobe stuff and Premiere Pro or whatever the hell it's called to line up and do a bit of video editing. So I'm learning a wee bit of that this week, and then hopefully from the next couple of weeks the audio quality on the YouTube podcast will be of better quality anyway. For a week or two it'll be just sort of clips from the podcasts going up on YouTube, and then hopefully the entire thing will be going up more regularly and after that. But so next week everything will be good to go. So we've done a few of these ones now. I thought I would just do it by myself. The boys aren't here. They'll be back tomorrow night to record a couple. But I thought I would just get this one out of the road. We've done a few of these ones now. I think they've been pretty well received. I think people tune in and stuff. We've done a few of them for the big fights in boxing. But it's UFC 259 this weekend, and this card is unreal. I've done a few of these, as I've said. The boys have been good enough to sort of let me ramble on about the UFC and fighting and boxing and stuff for a bit, which has been good. I enjoy the sport. I don't tune in all the time, as I've said before. Just with this and everything we're doing and all that there, I don't always have time to tune in for every UFC fight night and stuff. But for the big ones, I like to tune in. I always keep tabs on the sport, see what's going on, as well as boxing. As I said, I can't tune in and watch everything. Just it's hard to find the time. But like I say, when these big ones roll around, I always try and make sure that we get a podcast out on it, because I do think at least some of our following enjoy them. They do get right and fairly well downloaded. So. Big one this weekend. It's one of the best fight cards I think the UFC have put on in ages. It really is, top to bottom. It's fucking fantastic. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's in Las Vegas, UFC 259, and it's headlined by Israel Adesanya and Jan Blachowicz. I think within the podcast, I think even some of the other boys, Tom and that, when he was on and that, big fan of Israel Adesanya. Myself included. I think he's the biggest star in the sport now. I think he's taken that mantle from McGregor. He's absolutely unreal. I'm a really big fan of him, and he headlines this card against Jan Blachowicz. It's the UFC light heavyweight title on the line. Israel Adesanya is the UFC middleweight champion. He's moving up to light heavyweight to see if he can snag that belt as well. I think the plan was originally that he had planned to move up to light heavyweight to fight John Jones. There's been a lot of smack talk and trash talk between them two fighters over the last couple of years. But John Jones has moved up to the full heavyweight now. But you never know, that could be maybe next in line for Israel Adesanya if he can get through this one. He'll have snagged 2 belts, and I'm looking forward to this one. So Israel Adesanya, the UFC middleweight champion, he's got a perfect record in MMA, 20-0. He's got 15 knockouts. He's 31 years of age. He's right in his prime. He's had a career in kickboxing, a career in actual boxing. He was a boxer as well. He came to the UFC and he's dominated since he's been there. And I think he's a charismatic character. I think he's really taken the sport by storm. I think he is the biggest draw now in the UFC, in my opinion anyway. John Jones has had his struggles. He's in and he's out and stuff like that there too. And he hasn't maybe just looked as good in recent years, whereas Israel Adesanya is right in his prime and has been absolutely fantastic since he's came to the UFC. His last fight was with Paulo Costa. It was a big one. I'm pretty sure we did a podcast on it as well. There's a lot of bad blood between them two, a lot of trash talk, and he dominated that fight. He got him out of there in the second round. Paulo Costa was trying to bait him into come on to him. Israel Adesanya picked him apart and really did a demolition job on him. I was actually back and forth with Tom there the other day about Costa making just excuse after excuse of why he lost. And I was a fan of Paulo Costa going into that fight, and it's kind of turned me off him a little bit. But he dominated that one. The prior one to that, he fought Yoel Romero, which was a bit of a lackluster fight. Romero refused to engage, and Adesanya just stood on the outside and picked him apart. Adesanya is a good counter striker, and he had a dominant win over Robert Whittaker before that. Robert Whittaker was a hell of a champion as well. So, he's been on an absolute tear, has Adesanya recently. And he's going to move up and see what he can do here at lightweight against Jan Blachowicz. Now Jan's a bit older. He's 38. He's been about a long time, and he finally got his hands on the light heavyweight crown recently enough. He had a win over Dominic Reyes, and I'm pretty sure I picked Reyes to win that fight. Just because of Reyes' striking ability, and I thought that he might be able to outdo Jan Blachowicz. I think we did a podcast on that one too. Or maybe it was the same. I think that this might have been in the same card actually. Previously, a few months back. But Dom Reyes was an opponent that you could maybe draw some similarities to with Israel Adesanya. A good clean striker as well. Tall guy. Bit taller than Jan Blachowicz. That is one of the factors going into this. Like, Israel Adesanya fought at middleweight, but he's moved up to higher weight divisions in his previous, boxing, kickboxing and that. But Adesanya's 6'4", he carries the weight well. He cuts down to middleweight, so he's probably going to be, walking around at he's going to be going into this fight as sort of walking around weight at 205. He carries the weight well. Does Israel Adesanya? He's going to have no weight cut here at all. There's the pros and cons to this. The pros being, you don't drain your body before a fight. You'll probably be in better shape coming into it. You don't have to worry about weight. You can sort of eat what you want, not everything like that there. You can feel bigger and stronger as well. And you don't have to drain your body for your weight cut. The comeback to that is that, you're going to be fighting a bigger guy. And even though Jan Blachowicz isn't as tall, I think he's about 6'2" to Adesanya's 6'4". But Jan Blachowicz is a stocky guy. Like, he's a big build. He hits hard. And as I say, you could maybe draw a few comparisons to the previous fight in his career where he fought Dom Reyes. And he picked him apart in that fight. Which was an interesting one because Jan Blachowicz has got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. But in that fight against Dominic Reyes, it was his striking, kicks to the body against Dom Reyes where he really picked him apart, and the kicks to the body were incredibly effective. His ribs were all cut up. I think he ended up breaking Dom Reyes' nose. And he's got power. Jan Blachowicz has power, no doubt about it, and he will carry more power probably than Israel Adesanya in this fight. Adesanya likes to say that it's not power that makes the difference, it's precision and accuracy and speed, and this will be a test of that, definitely, no doubt about it. But there is always a step up. There is always a bit of difference. When you go up the weight division, your strikes just don't hit as hard. Maybe punches and strikes that were putting away middleweights don't have the same effect on a light heavyweight. You can definitely see it things that got there have been proven over the course of time. Bigger guys can take bigger shots, and that'll be an interesting little dynamic within this fight. Obviously, the range and reach of Israel Adesanya is another one, another little added twist to this fight. You know, and the one thing that maybe Israel Adesanya is sort of not really faced yet, he is a striker, legs, hands, everything, anything at all. He is a striker. The one thing he maybe hasn't faced yet is somebody that really wants to take him down. Could really, really focus on that. Jan Blachowicz could focus on that. It could be maybe a weakness. Especially being a bigger guy, he could lie on Israel Adesanya, maybe test his gas tank a little bit, try and tire him out, and then maybe try and put him away with strikes. But he's got a BJJ background as well, as I said earlier, and that could maybe be a little area that Jan Blachowicz could take advantage of. Maybe try and take Adesanya down, lean on him, take away his legs, take away his gas tank, and then see what he can do from there. It's going to be there's a little interesting dynamics like that. As I said, the reach, the power, the size, Jan's wrestling and BJJ capabilities. But I'm an Israel Adesanya fan, no, 100%, no doubt about it. And I think that his striking is just different level. It's really different level. He's accurate, fast, composed. Nothing flusters him. Like in a sport where mindset is almost a requirement, like an incredibly tough mindset. Fighters and mixed martial artists, the mindset's unbelievable. Like, and in that game, which as I said, it has to be a requirement. You have to have a tough mindset just to get into it. I think Israel Adesanya's mindset's probably one of the best, if not the very, very best in the sport. Nothing flusters him. Costa was trying to goad him. Romero was trying to goad him. Didn't fluster him, and he can get in other people's heads too. So he's one of the very best at that. If he decides to utilize a little bit of mind games or whatever before the fight, possibly maybe during the fight as well. There's a lot to look forward to here. Israel's trying to unify two divisions. There's only been 4 other athletes within the sport that have done that. McGregor, Cormier, Amanda Nunez, and Dominic Cejudo. And he's looking to do that as well. It's building up to like a very good fight. I'm really looking forward to this one. If Izzy can snag that light heavyweight title, I think that he could be the guy to beat John Jones. John Jones hasn't looked as good, and he'll talk so much smack now if he ends up winning this, and goes after Jones. It'll be fantastic. Like I said, I'm a fan. Jan's been about a long time. Is it fair credit to the man? Like he grabbed the light heavyweight belt with both hands when he got the chance. But he's got a 27-8 record. He's not a real big knockout artist. He's got 8 KOs in that time, and he's 38 years of age. So is it one of them sort of ones that after the likes of Gustafsson moved on and John Jones has moved on, that it's sort of just left a bit of a hole and he's claimed the belt? Maybe. As I said, fair play to him for doing it and sticking around that long and being tough enough, and being late on in his career, and then grabbing a hold of that belt. You have to give the man credit, no doubt about it. But I think Israel's just. I think he's the best. I think he's the best in the sport at the minute. I don't, maybe Stipe, maybe as well. Him, Amanda Nunez, who's also fighting in this card, the very, very best of the best as well. I think Israel's right at the top of that list. Well, I suppose you have to include Khabib. How do you forget about Khabib as well? But I think these fighters are the elite of the elite, and I really, really like Israel Adesanya. I'm sort of pulling for him to win in this one. No sort of digs at Jan Blachowicz, but I'm kind of pulling for Israel to win this one. I think it could maybe be it could maybe go the distance, this one. I'm thinking possibly. Like I said, the jiu-jitsu and stuff for Jan, striking. Jan did stand on his feet and really take it to Dominic Cruz in his last fight, which was a bit surprising. But I think this could be a bit of a war. Israel Adesanya isn't afraid to, trade one to get one either. He is better as a counter puncher. I do think Blachowicz will command him a little bit. He'll look to sort of take to the center of the ring and probably, force the issue and force forward pressure and stuff. But that sort of plays into Israel's game too. But it'll be interesting to see. Does he try to utilize takedowns and maybe try and slow Israel down a bit and then maybe take it from there and see where he can go and maybe try and drag this fight out a bit. But both these guys have went the distance before in multiple fights, so it could be it's got the makings of a great fight, this one. I think it could go the distance. I think it really could. I definitely think that it could go the distance, and I'm thinking that Israel might pull it out. He might do enough as far as striking and damage and stuff to sort of take the decision. I would say that Israel could probably stop him, but again, it's the weight thing. Jan is a big, stocky, strong competitor, so maybe Israel's power doesn't really affect him as much. But then it could be again, that's why I'm kind of going maybe more towards a decision win. But again, all Israel has to do is connect 2-3 in a row, and then he could really just pile on the pressure and maybe get a stoppage as well. So I think I'm pulling for Adesanya to win this one. Maybe a stoppage, but it could go the distance. I wouldn't mind seeing this one go the distance in any way, shape, or form either. It's really building up to be a really good fight. Co-main then on this card also really good. We've got Amanda Nunez, who at this point in time is the undisputed best MMA fighter, ever as a woman, no doubt about it. She's the title holder in 2 divisions. She ran through Ronda Rousey, ran through the likes of Holly Holm as well. More recently fought Jermaine Durandame as well. Got a decision in that fight, but she's on an 11-fight win streak. She is the very best of the very best. Her boxing is I'm pretty sure she has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but her boxing and striking is ridiculous. Her hands are so fast and she is so powerful. Everybody was talking about Cyborg, a while back, and maybe Cyborg being the person to stop a man. Ran through her. Amanda Nunez is different level. As I said, previous, the elite of the elite within the sport, and Amanda Nunez is that. She's the best women's fighter ever so far. She's 32 now. Probably still in her prime, no doubt about it. She's went the distance in her last 2 fights, so maybe that's something that you could maybe throw at her, possibly. But Amanda Nunez looks so good in every fight she's in. She steps forward, presses the pace, and her opponents can't live with it. She's got an endless gas tank, it seems too. She just keeps going, keeps firing, keeps throwing. She's unbelievable. She's really unbelievable. I even appreciated that, wasn't it recently, Jake Paul was, calling out McGregor and calling out Dana White and everything, and Dana was just like, I could put Amanda Nunez in and whip your ass. I would have no doubt in that nearly. Amanda Nunez is an absolute machine, and I really appreciated that. Dana was taking none of that shit, and Nunez is she's different level. She's got a good competitor in this one. I think it's an interesting little matchup. Megan Anderson from Down Under. Tall girl. She's going to be a good bit taller and a lot longer reach than Amanda. I think she's clocking in around 6 foot. Amanda Nunez is about 5'8". Tall, long striker as well. She can, I think she had a submission win. Was it a triangle choke or something recently? I think that she had as well. Her record's 11-4. Amanda Nunez is 20-4. She's had two stoppages in the first round in her last 2 fights. Has Megan. It's going to be an interesting matchup, because I do think that she likes to stand and strike too. She is very long. She's got a big reach, big long legs. She can use them as well. So just because of that, Amanda's gonna have to work to get into striking range. listen to a good bit of Teddy Atlas too. Like, fight tall. You're tall. You're a taller fighter. Fight tall. Stay on the outside. Keep the opponent at range, and pick them off from outside and punish them on the way in. That's Teddy Atlas. Famous boxing coach. That's what he says. So I think that you'll have to do that. Try and keep Nunez off her. Try and keep Amanda Nunez off her because, as I said, she likes to really, really press the pace, press the issue, throw a lot of strikes, a lot of punches, and likes to overwhelm her opponents. So that, as I said, like what Teddy Atlas would say, I know it's boxing, but he has dabbled in a wee bit of the MMA stuff now, his old Teddy, but he says fight tall. So keep her at range, punish her on the outside, maybe leg kicks, good strong jab, keep her off you, and punish her when she's trying to get close the distance, because that's when you're vulnerable, obviously. So she has that advantage, and Amanda Nunez is going to have to work to get inside, and she'll probably have to eat a few punches to get in there. Now they have a common opponent. It's always difficult to read too much into common opponents. It doesn't really mean too much sometimes. Styles make matchups and everything like that too. Megan, when she joined the UFC, had a loss to Holly Holm. Now, Holly Holm's definitely one of the best to ever do it as well. Her career speaks for itself as well too. She lost to her, and Holly Holm's a damn good striker as well. Like, really, really, really top level elite striker. A little bit different, obviously, to Amanda Nunez, but Amanda Nunez ran through Holly Holm. Stopped her in the first round. Really overwhelmed her, and it is a little bit hard to read into too many of them things. It is hard to gauge anything from common opponents because you see it so many times that it makes no difference. But yeah, Amanda Nunez did run through her, and Megan had a loss there. But it was a couple of years ago. She's probably improved since that, and there is tactics. Stay on the outside, keep her off you, and Amanda Nunez will not take a step backwards. I wouldn't imagine. It's what she does. Very much a pressure fighter and overwhelming her opponents. But look, she's a big test for Amanda Nunez. Probably the biggest test that she's had, maybe even since Holly Holm, and that was a wee way back for Amanda. So, it's going to be a good one, an interesting one. I don't think Amanda Nunez has much more to prove within the sport, but it's just another notch. And as I said, Megan Anderson's a big, strong girl, so that's going to be a really interesting fight as well. I think that maybe Amanda could get her out of there, maybe in the second or the third round. I think that she could. Amanda Nunez is really, really different level, but as I said, there is ways and means to beat even a better fighter, and maybe she stays on the outside and picks her off and catches her coming in or something like that, and then uses her power to stop Nunez. It can happen, very easily can happen, but I do think that I'm going to go with Amanda Nunez here to maybe finish the fight in the second or the third round. She really is that good, and just has to be careful when trying to close the distance, I think, and then use her speed and power inside to really, really hurt Megan there. And Amanda's one of the best to ever do it, so I think I'll place my bets on her. Another fight on this card. This card's unbelievable. This is the bantamweight belt on the line here, and in the men's division. That one, Amanda Nunez is defending the featherweight title. I should have said probably, but this one's for the bantamweight belt as well. So you have Petr Yan here, who's recently crowned bantamweight champion in his prime, 28 years of age, and he's been good. He's knocked off Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber recently as well. Maybe them guys are a wee bit in the back end of their career, but Petr Yan has made light work of them two men, seasoned pros as they are, and looked really good against Jose Aldo. Really, really dominated him, and did make people will forget Jose Aldo's great career beforehand, which is horrific too, because they'll remember this Jose Aldo and the Aldo that got beat by McGregor, which he had a great career before it. But Petr Yan's been good. He's 28, really moving into the prime of his career. Sort of 28 to maybe 32 seems to be the real prime of a fighter's career. Maybe a wee bit later than that. Maybe starts a wee bit earlier, but 26 to maybe 33. right in his early prime here. He's taken the belt, 15-1 record, and he's a hell of a wee striker. Dynamic striker, got a little bit of Muay Thai in there. And as I said, well, obviously Jose Aldo's got a great Muay Thai background as well, and he really pieced him up in this last fight. And he's a damn good little fighter. Like, this next generation of guys in them lower divisions is kind of rumbling through now. There's guys coming up and taking belts and stuff, and there's a lot of interesting guys coming through. A lot of the older guard are moving on now, and yeah, he's definitely one to watch. He could really grab this division and hold it for a few years now. Obviously this is the division that Henry Cejudo was left, vacated essentially, and retired. Dominant fighter was Henry Cejudo, but then there's now a possibility for new guys to come up and make their name. And Petr Yan now, if he can string together 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe title defenses, can start sort of establishing his own legacy, and he's got the years to do it. If you're fighting twice a year for the next 3 to 4 years, you can really make a name for yourself, make a lot of money, and he's got all the possibilities to do it. He's a damn talented fighter. He's facing Aljamain Sterling in this one, who's an interesting character, real interesting character. He is the older. I think he's 31. Taking a little bit longer to get into the sport. And you've got a nice little blend. It's like, as I said before, styles make matchups, and you've got a nice little blend here in this fight especially. You do have it in Israel Adesanya and Jan Blachowicz' fight, I think, too. Maybe striker against maybe a bit more of a grappler. Although, as I said, Jan has showed hell of good striking recently. But in this one, you have the typical striker versus grappler kind of thing going on. So you have Aljamain Sterling here, interesting character. What's it? Funk Master is his nickname. American of Jamaican descent, and he's an interesting guy. NCAA wrestler, and he's got a BJJ background as well, so a real true grappler here. But for a grappler, he's crazy fluid with his striking. It's I think he's only got 2 knockouts in his career, so he's by no means a knockout artist or a real pure striker like Petr Yan would be here. Definitely not. But he's got he's really fluid. Sometimes with wrestlers and maybe guys that are BJJ guys, they can be a little bit more stiff when it comes to striking, and they're more basic at striking essentially. A lot of they can learn and become competent, but you can definitely see the difference when you're talking about the likes of a McGregor or a John Jones or an Adesanya or whatever. You can definitely see the difference in striking when them guys are in the octagon or whatever. And sometimes then they can, even a guy that's maybe developed his striking, who comes from a grappling background, and has developed it into of a good level, can look a little bit stiff and they can just be they can look a little bit worse when they come in against somebody that's very, very fluid as a striker. But this is the weird thing about Aljamain Sterling. He is so fluid when it comes to his striking ability. Like I said, he's not a knockout artist in any way, shape, or form, but he the kicks and stuff and strikes from unorthodox angles, and he keeps guys so off balance with his striking. They're coming from everywhere, down low, up high. It doesn't make any sense. You obviously have to have incredible dexterity for BJJ and stuff like that, but it doesn't always translate to striking, and he strikes from weird angles and sets up takedowns from weird angles. It's nuts. So you've got a real nice blend here. As I said, Petr Yan's a really, really good striker, and you have Sterling here who is a grappler but can strike from weird angles and then take you down. So that you've got a real nice little matchup and blend here, no doubt about it. I'm looking forward to this fight as well, big time. Sterling recently had submitted Corey Sandhagen in the first round with a rear naked choke, and Corey Sandhagen's nobody to be fucked with either, and got him out of there swift, real swift. He's an interesting character, this guy. He's got charisma, and he's a little bit older, so doesn't have an awful lot of time to establish himself, maybe. But, comes from an NCAA background, is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, as far as I'm aware. And Petr Yan's really established himself as a dominant little fighter in this division as well. So, again, really, really good matchup. And I'm really looking forward to see who comes out in this one as well. New era in this division. Henry Cejudo's gone now. And somebody has to take the reins. Petr Yan's done it, but he's got an interesting guy to come up against here now. And I'm looking forward to this fight as well. The card's stacked. It's class. It's definitely one of the best cards that Dana White's put on in a while. And then, even on down the card, just to round me out a little bit, Islam Makhachev. Now, I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he's one of the guys that fights out of Khabib's gym. Also fights at lightweight, same as Khabib as well. Has got that combat sambo background. And he's been moving through maybe 14-1, 15-1 as well. He's been moving through the lightweight division and dominating guys as well. He's on this card. Really looking forward to seeing what he can do. Obviously Khabib's talked about retirement and maybe being gone from the sport now, so that leaves that lightweight division wide open as well. Makhachev is right there. He's sort of Khabib 2.0 nearly. Obviously not as good as Khabib, or anywhere near it, probably. But, a dominant guy and has all the hallmarks of Khabib as well. Maybe not as short and stocky, a little bit slimmer, has a loss on his record, I'm pretty sure. I think he is 15-1 or something along those lines. And he's on this card, looking forward to seeing what he can do as well. And Dominic Cruz is on this card, and he's headlining the prelims. Dominic Cruz is, he's obviously in the commentary booth a lot now too, but he's had a hell of a career, a long run in the UFC as a champion as well. His career kind of got derailed by injuries, and he's on the prelims, headlining the prelims, and he's trying to maybe revitalise and get back in and see if he can have one more go at maybe a title or something like that there. He'll have a wee bit of a ways to fight his way back to it. As I said, there's a lot of new young guys in the divisions down there, but big name on the prelim. So this card's stacked from top to bottom. I'm really looking forward to it. There's great fights the whole way down. And yeah, who am I going to pick? I didn't pick a winner in the Petr Yan Sterling fight. I think Petr Yan could probably do it. I think he's in his prime. Dominant fighter, real good striker. But I do like Aljamain Sterling as a character as well too, so I'm not sure. This one's wide open for me. I'll probably take Petr Yan. I think that his striking could maybe come through a little bit, but then, if Aljamain gets him to the ground, it could be a different fight altogether, and he will try and take him down at some point. But yeah, really looking forward to this UFC card here on Saturday night. As I've said, we've done a few of these now, just a little build up. Little build-up podcast to get anybody that enjoys this sport in the mood for it or whatever. Hopefully you are enjoying them if you do listen to them. And yeah, I'll give you all the details about the boys back in next week. Back in tomorrow night to get prepped for next week and everything too. So yeah, plenty more to come. Stay tuned. As I said, if you're a new listener, we do nerd topics, movie, TV, stuff like that there on a Monday. Tuesday we do international sports, a lot of NFL, a lot of basketball, a little bit of WWE wrestling as well and stuff on a Tuesday. That'll be back. Big Dev, usually the main man for that. And then on Thursday we cover football as well. Plenty of stuff within that there too. So a little bit of stuff for everybody. On a Wednesday night we usually have maybe wee bits and pieces going out. We've done a few book reviews, we've done a few quizzes, we've done a few things like that there as well. So they'll be coming back and everything too. As I said, if you're a new listener, keep tuning in. It's not just usually me here by myself. There's usually two other fellas as well. And we've just had to take some time off. But everything will be back. Good to go very shortly. So stay tuned. Plenty more to come. We're up on Apple Podcasts now as well. Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Google's got a platform for podcasts as well. Anywhere you listen to your podcast, we're there. And we're going to try and get the YouTube popping a little bit. As I said, there'll be a few clips going out of the main podcast with all of us here. And then hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll learn a bit more about the video editing stuff and get better audio with it and have the entire podcast on YouTube as well. The Irish Case podcast on YouTube. So yeah, give us a follow on them platforms, Apple, Spotify, all that crack, on YouTube as well. If that's where you want to watch us, if you're a viewer on there, and as I said, that will be better shortly. And give our Instagram page a follow. We're the Irish Case Podcast on Instagram. We have news bits up there, we have little clips up there, some polls, different bits and pieces, and it's pretty much just where you'll find out what we've got out, what's coming out, different things like that there. So if you're a regular listener or whatever from far and wide, there is a lot of places that tune in, a lot in the States, a lot all over the world, to be fair, which is mental. But if you are going, give our our Instagram page a follow. It's where you'll find everything that we do and all that crack. So yeah, just me by myself tonight, but just a little one, and the boys are back next week. The boys are back tomorrow. There'll be a podcast out tomorrow on Thursday. So yeah, thanks very much for listening, folks. That'll do me for the night. Cheers.